right answer to how much should I buy is open-to-buy planning. We showed you all of the benefits of using open-to-buy planning, and there are nothing but benefits. And we showed you the fact that if you're buying and reselling merchandise, you need open-to-buy. We talked about the rules that we work with, dealing in retail dollars by department, by the month, as of the first of the month, and 12 months into the future, and that the open-to-buy process is broken into two halves: the setup and then the ongoing portion, the monthly figures. We covered identifying your departments, and we showed you a list of departments that you may or may not carry in your store, but just to give you an idea of what we're talking about when we say departments or categories. You might call them classifications, it doesn't much matter. But we don't get down to the item or the vendor level because the items and vendors are constantly changing. Then we talked about projecting a 12-month sales plan, and we took you through that, and this is pretty much what we came up with. And at the bottom we have a 12-month sales plan for Department 1. You would obviously want to do this for every department, for all the departments that you plan to work with in your open-to-buy plan. Once you have your departments and your sales plan, you want to go ahead and establish turn rates. Now, turnover is critical in the retail mix, and let me give you some examples of how that works. Let's say we have $1 in inventory. Now, this is a retail dollar, and we're going to talk about turning it one time. Now, if it seems a little strange to talk about $1, think of it as $10,000 or $100,000. It doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to bring it down to the lowest denominator so that you can see what's at work behind this. Now, when we talk about turnover, we're talking about annual turns. So in this example, we're going to take our dollar and we're going to turn it once during the year. So we're going to generate sales of $1. We're going to send 50 cents to our vendor. All of these illustrations will use a keystone markup. We're going to generate 40 cents that will go toward overhead, paying the labor, paying the rent, paying the utilities, paying the advertising, all things that must be taken care of if you want to keep your store open, and you'll be left with a 10-cent profit. If you can turn that same dollar twice, you generate twice the sales, and you generate twice the overhead contribution, and of course twice the profit. If you can turn that dollar 5 times, well, you see what the numbers are on the screen. And the interesting thing here is that that's a retail dollar which you have a 50-cent investment in. So you're making a 50-cent profit on a 50-cent investment, 100% return, which is pretty good. So the simple fact is, the more you turn, the more you make. So turnover is critical if you want to make money in retailing. The only way to really improve your turnover is with open-to-buy planning. So you'll definitely improve your turnover, and at the same time, you'll reduce your markdowns. So let's look at how markdowns work. Well, we showed you the $1 with the one-time turn, but if that doesn't sell, then you're really getting a no-time turn, if there's such a thing. So that product sits there in our store, and we finally decide we've got to get rid of that, and so we take a markdown, we sell it at 50% off. So we're going to generate 50 cents in sales, but that 50 cents has to go immediately to the vendor to pay for the merchandise. Since that's all the money that we take in, we don't generate any overhead, but every item of merchandise that you put into inventory must carry its proportionate share of overhead. So that item, which has not sold, has created 40 cents worth of overhead. So you're not contributing any additional profit, but you are winding up with a 40-cent loss when you mark down that item. So markdowns don't work. The only people that benefit from markdowns are your customers. And the last thing you want to do is to train them to be sales shoppers. You want them to be coming into your store frequently to see what's new, not what's on sale. If you're working on a keystone markup, you have to sell through at least 80% of your merchandise at full price just to break even. So markdowns can really be a killer. Your open-to-buy plan will help you to work toward eliminating markdowns. Now there's 3 factors that go into turnover. Delivery time, how long it takes to get merchandise from the time you order it until the time you receive it. Shelf life, how long you want that merchandise sitting there. And item quantity, how much do you need to be properly represented. The actual calculation for turnover is to divide your annual sales for the entire store or for that particular department by the average monthly beginning inventory. If you wanted to be perfectly accurate, you would take your beginning inventory from each month, add them up, and then divide by 12 to come up with an average, and then divide that into your annual sales. But an easy way to figure what your current turn is to just take your annual sales in that department and divide it by your current inventory, obviously in retail dollars. In our example, we had planned sales of $200,000. We had planned inventory of $50,000. And when we divide those two, we come up with an annual turn rate of 4. Now, a lot of people will come up to me and say, well, what's the ideal turn rate, Mort? And my answer is always the same. The turn that you should be getting is slightly higher than the turn that you are getting. Every retailer's job is twofold. Number one, you want to improve your sales. That's what you spend about 95% of your day trying to do. Number two, and most importantly, you want to try and improve your turn, because the more you turn, the more you make. So if you're getting a 2-time turn, you want to try and get a 2.5. And when you get a 2.5, you want to try and get a 3. When your turn gets too high, if it starts to jeopardize your sales, you can just back it down a little bit, but very few retailers have gotten into that rarefied air. In our next session, we'll talk about determining ideal beginning inventories, and in the meantime, once again, we invite you to visit our website or just give me a call. Thanks for listening.